Hey, all right, welcome. We are at. We would probably wipe that out, but I figured not start out.
We're
that
at
way.
Beer Trucks R Us, also
Terrapin.
known as Pascal's Bistro, out on the patio.
Yes, perfect. Thank you for the intro. This is we're gonna keep going. I was gonna start over, but a beer truck passing by is fortuitous.
It's a good sign, I
yes,
think.
two Georgia grads. We're at Pascal's, right in front of Mr. Kimbell's office. Here, this is called West Park too.
Something like that. West Park Walk. You know, that building where my office is used to be the movie theaters here in Peachtree City. Yeah, it was the movie theaters. Where we sit, I think, is where you would buy your popcorn and get your tickets. It was the lobby. And then back a little further, there's a restaurant, not Pascal's Bistro, but another restaurant. And that actually larger section of the building is where the theaters themselves were. I think it was a twin. I think there were two.
So you grew up here?
I grew up, I'm a South Side boy. I'm a Georgia boy, been here my whole life, born in Atlanta at Piedmont Hospital back in 1968. So I'm not a boomer. I'm whatever comes after that. They got a name for it or what have you. But yeah,
Are you Gen X?
I'm Gen X, man. I'm Gen X. Yeah. Even though this white hair is coming in pretty hard, I'm Gen X.
I'm wondering if they bump us to the boomer status at a certain point. I don't know if they will accept it. I feel like we're moving on.
I was just having that conversation with somebody yesterday, and boomer officially ends at 1964. 65, that's the Xers, the kids that grew up with their own key to the house and just got things done.
Yes, I love it. I love all the videos where people
you said two Georgia grads. I'm actually not a UGA grad. I've got a daughter that just graduated last December from UGA. She was on the flag line, both at Whitewater High School when she was a high schooler here in Fayette County, and then on the flag line with the marching band at UGA all 4 years. Ultimately was the captain. She graduated last December, but is currently working on her master's and will graduate the second time with a master's.
So you're a big Georgia fan, though. Were you a Georgia fan before they went to school there?
Not so much. Now everything,
because I see that a lot. I've got Tech people that graduate, friends that graduate from Tech, and they're now Georgia fans because their kids go there.
Everything in my life, everything in my life has always been red, David. Red is my favorite color. So
that is on your.
It's on the logo. My pickup truck is red.
Okay. You went to Emory. Is that where you went to law school or undergrad?
I went to Emory for 7 years. 4 years for undergrad and 3 years for law school.
Wow.
And before that, I grew up in the south end of Clayton County, just next door here to Fayette, and graduated from Riverdale Senior High School back in the 80s.
Wow. Okay. So I went to North Clayton. I went to North Clayton Middle School.
Gotcha.
E.W. Oliver, which is right there.
I went to E.W. Oliver. No way. Was Mr. Stanford your principal? Walter Stanford?
Man, I have no idea. I don't remember.
I only went to E.W. Oliver 3rd and 4th grade. We were a little bit of gypsies, and now that I do what I do with title and closings, I understand a lot more about my life as a kid.
You were running?
We were running, man.
I
get it. Running.
Yeah, well, that's funny because elementary school there was 5th and 6th grade. Went all the way to 6th, right?
Right, 5th and 6th grade. Because
that 7th, 8th, and 9th was middle school.
Junior high. We had the junior high model.
Yeah.
And so I went to E.W. Oliver, and then there was an intervening one, and then Church Street Elementary School.
Okay.
Is where I went, and then Point South Junior High School and Riverdale Senior High School. Actually, I graduated from there in the middle 80s, and we got married, Elise and I, that a lot of the folks that will probably see this, my wife and I graduated from Riverdale, and then we got married in the early 90s and bought our first house over in Morrow, actually. We were in a little unincorporated island of Clayton County between Morrow and Forest Park, little single-street neighborhood. We were move-ins, and...
What was the name of the street?
It was Morrow Cove.
Morrow Cove. And what was your phone number there? I know you still know it.
I can't say that because that's a passcode on some of my stuff.
Well, now we're going to look it up.
No, man, that number's long dead. Nobody knows.
You don't think there's any records of your home number somewhere?
No.
Mine was 770.
It's probably your passcode on your phone. Let me try it.
No, it's not. 997-2805, I believe.
Yep.
6227 Newberry Lane.
There you
it's
go.
Funny, I remember that, but I don't.
Yeah, no, we were 480 Paul Street in Riverdale, and then Morrow Cove, 601 something or other. Anyway, so yeah, you know, it was interesting. First house I bought, That I am so old, y'all, that it was a VA loan assumption non-qualified. You know, those ended in 1988. So that loan had to have originated prior to 1988.
Wow. That was your first home?
First house I ever bought. I'd been working as a kid, worked in the family business, and saved every dime I ever made.
The family business of running.
Yes. Yeah, well, no, they got better at it. My dad was a salesman, actually.
Okay.
Dad, he sold pretty much everything you can ever imagine.
Was he an immigrant?
Yes, he immigrated from Griffin. All the way. When he met my mom, he was living in Atlanta. He was living on Ponce de Leon. And met my mom at a place that no longer exists down on Lucky Street in Atlanta. He was at a juke joint and went and asked her to dance. And there you go. Here we are.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason I asked that line of questions is my dad seemed to work in every sales position there ever was. That's just the one thing I do remember is he was selling clothes, selling cars, selling mobile phones all the time.
Dad never did phones. He sold cars. He actually was a salesman at Sigmund Buick in Griffin, Georgia. And then when I was a kid, he, like I said, he sold everything from shop equipment to flashing signs. In-home sales was the love of his life as far as the sales jobs, because he liked being in that home environment. He sold home improvement contracts. You know, just everything. There's a movie about salesmen doing crazy stuff. Wow.
So what's your favorite? Where'd y'all hang out when you were in high school? I'm just trying to see the difference. I bet I'm caught the tail end of some of the same type of.
So the big hangout place in those days was the Crystal in Riverdale or the McDonald's parking lot. Or if you were hanging out with people from over in Jonesboro or such, there was the Circus Pizza over in front of the Richway, or what became a Target and all that.
Was it Southway? Do you remember that? Was that like a little shopping center? That's where we used to cruise.
Southway was there. Junior high days, on weekends, you would find me and my buddies hanging out at the mall over at South Lake.
Yeah.
If we had money, we'd go to Shannon Mall. But if we were broke, we'd go to South Lake and managed to get
Did you ever make it over to, what was it, Gold Rush? What was it? Or Tokens, the arcade? Remember our arcade?
Oh, the Gold Mine.
Gold Mine.
Yes, yeah.
That was on Old National.
We'd go with
There
was one in the mall. We would go there. And then in Riverdale, there was a guy named Larry Oldno. And Mr. Oldno opened an arcade off Roundtree Road. And then over by the old Kroger, there was one called Lunar Tunes.
Okay.
And
that the one in the mall was called Gold Mine?
It was Gold Mine, yeah.
Okay. There was one called Tokens. And I remember, because we were right there near Flash Hills Park. So we hung out on Old National.
I got you.
And there was just a standalone. I remember my mom's, I can picture it now. It's World Changers Church or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So that was
one of my high school buddies worked at that Kmart that is now part of World Changers.
Yeah. I was in that shopping center.
Yeah. Exactly.
So when did you decide law was what you wanted to do?
So, crazy story. When I was a kid in high school, I was a math and science guy, right? Did well with math, all A's, all that jazz, did well with science. And thought for sure that I was going to go to Emory. That's why I applied to Emory and go and do the medical route. But something changed. One of my friends and I, when we were heading into our senior year of high school, decided to run for student government. And so we ran, and I convinced him that he needed to be the president and I needed to be the vice president. I would take care of stuff, but he was the face, And so Doug Thompson and I ran, we won. And so curious thing happened at those days. This district that we're in here in Fayette and that part of Clayton was the 5th Congressional District. And it ran from that area all the way out east to Carrollton. And there was a fellow that had been a college professor out at West Georgia by the name of Newt Gingrich. And he ran a couple times and then was finally elected. So in the student council role, we got an invite from the congressional office. Hey, come over, we want to meet y'all. And so they invited the president, vice president, and whatever other office there was, I don't really remember, to come over and have a roundtable discussion with the congressman. And I'm like, that's cool. Let's go do that. And so I did that and ended up getting a job working there while I was in high school. Worked in a campaign or two as well. And so I shifted when I got to college and became an economics and political science major. At that time, Emory had a joint concentration, so I did the degree that did both of those. Ultimately ended up missing out on an econometrics class. Don't worry about that, what that is. But anyway, missing out on econometrics, and my actual degree was in poli-sci. And so then I had to figure out something to do with that. I thought I might go and become something like a legislative assistant and such. So I went to law school, and then the Great Recession, well, not the Great Recession, but the recession in the early 90s happened. So when I was applying to law school, that was late 80s, and I was looking at the stats. Emory was very well ranked. It still is to this day. But the average starting salary for folks that were in school that were coming out as I was applying was somewhere in the mid $50,000 range. And that was 1989. That was pretty good money. Yeah. I thought, that's the average. I can do average. I can be better than average. And so fast forward 3 years, all the kids that had 3, 4, 5 offers from the different firms that they were applying to were trying to decide which offer was the best one for them. Well, by the time I graduated, law firms that were hiring a dozen were hiring none, or maybe one. And so I ended up going to work for a fellow by the name of Larry Foster. Mr. Foster was over in Jonesboro. He was a Marine and had been a high school English teacher there. And a buddy was working at his office, and she was talking about how overwhelmed they were and invited me to come and help. I met the Foster brothers, and next thing you know, I'm writing briefs to fight cases in the district court, and then ultimately ended up filing stuff in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, the U.S. Supreme Court, all that kind of stuff. And that ended up working into a full-time job.
So how'd you get to real estate?
Good question. So I did that from December 92 while I was still in law school until 1998. And in 1998, this firm, or a predecessor to it, had an office in Fayetteville. Now, I told you our first house was in Morrow. Like a lot of folks, I had connections to Fayette County. I've been going to church in Fayette County since I was a kid in the 6th grade. And so all of my friends, all the people that I hung out with were church people. And so we wanted to continue that connection. And then as we had kids and kids are getting towards school age, we thought, where's a great place to raise kids in a good school system? As soon as we could afford it, we bought our first house in Fayette County in 1998. And so I'm living in Fayetteville, in Kingswood, if anyone knows where that neighborhood is, down Highway 92. Probably one of the first neighborhoods with a swim and tennis.
When did you move in there?
1998.
Okay. Good friend of mine, Bray Smith, lived in there.
Yeah.
I used to be there all the time.
Yep. So we moved there, and I was still working in Jonesboro. And so my buddy Blake Edge from law school calls me and says, hey, so-and-so that was working for the firm, his wife has taken a job at the University of Michigan. They're packing up and they're heading to Ann Arbor. Have you ever thought about becoming a closing lawyer? Now, I was a litigator, and I thought, as my boss there in Jonesboro told me, he said, trained monkey can do closings. Real estate's easy. You'd be so bored in that. That's why my brother Don does that, and I don't mess with that stuff. So, having come from that sort of background and thought process, I say to Blake Edge, no offense, but ain't that boring? And he says, well, I've never been bored in what I do, but come check it out. So I took a week of vacation where I was and worked in the Fayetteville office for about a week and never went back.
Really?
Gave my notice, worked out the notice with the firm I was at, and I had the good fortune and great pleasure to work in an office that was about 5, maybe 7 minutes from my home.
That's nice.
I could be to anything and everything school related with the kids as they were growing up, from elementary school through high school, all that with all of them. We have 4 kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And your kids are all grown now.
Mostly grown. Everybody is independent.
That's relative.
Yeah, everybody's independent and out of the house, except for my youngest, who is 22. He is a senior at Georgia State and is one of the managers at the Chick-fil-A down in Sonoy. He's what they call an area manager. I think that means he's the boss of the kitchen. But
wow. Is he going to follow that career path then?
He's planning on it. He's actually majoring in the business school at Georgia State in hospitality. And
it's not a bad career path.
No, they've told him that they would love to have him come through their program. So that's
so then that,
thing
I mean,
he's pursuing.
I guess the path there is not always through. Is it just called ownership, or when you own one of the?
I think they call them operators.
Operators, that's what it is. You're operator.
They buy into the store and.
But corporate Chick-fil-A is pretty darn good too. I mean, they're pretty good to their employees as well.
They are very good to their employees. I've done a lot of closings for folks with that company over the years, and I can tell you, no doubt, they're very good to their employees.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, I've got a little game I want to play.
Okay.
Just because a mortgage person and an attorney can be kind of boring, so we're going to spice our information up a little bit. Are you familiar with Smash or Trash?
Smash or Trash?
I'm basically going to give you a topic, and Smash means it's a smash, I like it.
Yeah.
Trash means no, that's horrible.
Okay.
I might have some other words for it. So real quick answer, short answers, we could fly through it. So waiving the inspection because the house looks fine. Is that a smash or is that see you in court?
That's a terrible idea. That's trash, man. That is the dumbest thing you could do.
Even in a hot market that we had in 20?
So, I actually bought in that market. And my game then to not go in blind was I would give an offer, not make it subject to inspection. I would have inspection rights, but it wasn't such that I was going to come back with an amendment to address concerns as they do now. It was just thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay.
And so I wasn't going to come back to the seller and ask for concessions. I wasn't going to come back to the seller and ask for repairs. But my opinion as a lawyer and as just a person buying property is you don't want to buy a pig in a poke. You don't want to know what you don't. You don't want to go in blind. You want to know what's
you
good,
don't know
the bad.
what you don't know.
You want to know the good, bad, and the ugly. So, either be confident in all these things or find someone who is. But a good home inspector is worth their weight in gold and can keep you out of a very bad situation. Mm-hmm. In this market, they would have you come back with a proper advice from an agent or a realtor and ask for concessions or ask for remediation by the seller. So if you had a condition like mold or a water problem or a roof problem, like nowadays roofs, the insurers are reluctant to insure them. Yeah. Without an exception, sometimes they'll want to put one of those actual cash value riders on the coverage. And so knowing the status of that and knowing what you're getting into and figuring all that into the price. Yeah. Those are
and when you have people pre-approved knowing they might need some money or when you're listing a house.
Right.
That house is, if the roof's over 10 years old, then the buyer's insurance company might make them replace. So.
Right. Exactly.
Well, so much for short answer questions. Let's try.
I'll go shorter. Yeah. So let's move the switch off of maximum verbosity. Sorry about that, David.
Sending the wiring funds the morning of closing. Is that a sign of confidence or just setting yourself up for chaos?
So you want me to say smash or trash?
No, I'm giving you the option.
Okay.
Are they confident or are they creating chaos?
A good lawyer would say depends, but I'll go with chaos.
Chaos?
Chaos, yeah. So many things are in limbo. Depending upon where a person banks, we've seen wire transfers take 24, 48 hours. We've seen them be done and completed within just a few minutes. Yeah. And so... I don't
think people know that their bank might require them to physically come in. to set up the wire. And we've had people move from out of state and did not realize that now they got to go back home.
Or if their source of funds is coming from even a money market at an investment house versus a regular bank. So if they've got a account with Schwab or Morgan Stanley or Edward Jones, know that it's going to take a hop because that entity has a bank. And so it's got to come out of the entity. And maybe it's an asset that's got to be liquidated. Maybe it's actual shares in some sort of fund.
Well, we do as a lender make sure that that's done in advance. That has to be done prior to, so that's protected. So, all right, bringing their mom, cousin, and their 3 kids to the closing table. Smash or trash?
I think that's a smash because I think a closing is a celebration. And the more people to celebrate with you about these important things, the better off you are. You know, buying a home, I think about the movie, It's a Wonderful Life, a big Christmas movie. And I think about the scene where the hero of the movie and his wife, George Bailey and Mary Bailey, are out in the neighborhood where one of their customers, he was a loan officer. You know that? He was at the Bailey Brothers Building and Loan. Yeah. And so they were out celebrating with this family and celebrating the fact that now they had a home. And so, you know, investment in real estate, because real estate, generally speaking, Great Recession excluded, goes up in value, is a huge way to build your personal wealth. Yeah. Whether it's your primary residence or if you go beyond that, investing in a property as an investment, a huge way to increase your wealth and very stable. Yeah, and I think kids just need to see that. Mm-hmm. Like my mom never owned a home. I didn't really know what the word mortgage meant, even in college. Like I knew that it was a financing term, but to sit there in that room and to know that, it makes that, like that's your standard. Like this is just what you do. You buy a house. Yeah, yeah. And so it kind of removes a little glass ceiling for maybe a generation that hadn't ever owned. Oh. And most people listening to this might have no idea what I'm talking about because their parents owned a home and they owned all 6. But there are a lot of people that's their first home, and by God, they should bring their cousins and their grandkids. It's a celebration, and we're very pleased to welcome folks. We actually make it a big deal with the transaction, particularly if I know it's going to be their first home. We have a little thing that we do where we all cheer and ring a bell and all that. Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. In that movie, George Bailey gives 3 things, or the wife gives 3 things. They give a loaf of bread, they give salt, and they gave wine, so that the house may never know hunger, that there always be laughter, and that life always be filled with spice. So that's a lot, right, to give out at the closing. And so we borrow another theory from that movie, the ringing of the bell. And if you know the movie, you know what I'm talking about. You ring the bell, and it's significant. It's significant because it shows that something incredible has just happened. Yeah. A real game changer for folks. So we actually... Well, you're right next door to isn't that a wine and cork, or is it just vinegar? That's not a wine and cork. That's vinegar. Now over here at Pascal's Bistro, so you can sit them over here and say, come get your wine here, your salt and over there. Right. You'll be good. Exactly. I love that. I love the association there. All right. Taking the washer and dryer with you as a seller because I bought them. Smash or trash? I'm going to say somewhere in the middle. Yeah. It's a point for negotiation. If it's not written in the contract, let's assume it's not written in the contract. Okay. So in your seller's disclosure, did you say that those items were remaining, or did you not say that they were? So they're asked. I don't know. So in the seller's disclosure, that's the question. Will it remain? Yeah, assuming that it's a contract that's done on the GAR forms, the Georgia Association of Realtors, the seller's going to fill out a disclosure, assuming that it's been their actual primary residence. If they're that attached to the washer and dryer, it clearly has. And so they'll check the boxes as to what's to stay. The ones that typically stay on the ones we see are the kitchen appliances. If there's a dishwasher, all the cooking appliances generally stay. Sometimes the fridge is pretty standard these days as an item that stays. Yeah. Washer, dryer, that's kind of 50-50. Yeah. But it's a good chance to maybe upgrade. Okay. All right. So smash or trash, that's all you're allowed to say on this. Okay. Rent backs. So the trash. Okay, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Forgetting to bring the keys to closing, is that an honest mistake or just sabotage and anti-realtor? We'll call it an honest mistake. We'll give folks benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Keys and clickers, though, is a definite part. When we get everything signed for funding approval, when lenders have to have funding review for us, I'll always suggest, hey, now's a great time while I'm out of the room for 30 seconds to exchange keys and clickers because we're about to the point where we're going to be done here.
That's good. All right, this one's to our realtors. So, giving legal advice in the closing room. Smash or trash?
Me or the
realtor?
realtors?
No, the realtor.
Oh, no.
And they might not know what legal advice is, so they have to be careful.
Right. Now, and I don't know, the real estate market, so I have to be careful as well, giving opinions outside of my area of expertise. So when people want to ask me tax consequences, I'm like, look, dude, that's not what I do. I can tell you about this, that, and the other with the real estate or with the closings or with probate or with making a small business or selling a small business, but I won't give you tax advice, and I generally won't give you market advice. Same thing is true, opposite side of the coin, for realtors in the transactions. One of the things in the initial coursework and one of the things that we hear brokers say when we go to their sales meetings is, look, you're not a lawyer, don't give legal advice. Yes, you are authorized by your license to complete forms and do that to zealously represent your client. But when things deviate too much from the form, your job is to go to your resources, and your first resource is going to be that broker. A good broker is invaluable because they've been there before. They've seen so many circumstances that happen over and over. Nothing's new under the sun, as it were. And so the realtors are able to tap into that experience. If we get to a situation that the broker hasn't addressed, then the broker's going to have a relationship with someone like me that can go in and draft that special stipulation in a way so as to make sure that party's interest is protected. Actually, I just did a little brief class not too long ago at an agency that we're affiliated with about special stipulations and about the 5 things that every special stip needs to have with it. Got to be definite.
The special stip needs to be definite. That's one of the 5. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll hit the other 4 on another one.
Another day.
All right. Now let's get the lenders. Let's be fair.
Okay. Sure.
Smash or trash? Sending the final numbers at 4:59 p.m. the day before closing.
That's trash, buddy. That's trash. But that's not you.
No, never
seen that.
Changing the loan terms right in the middle of closing. Oh, I wanted a 15-year.
That's somewhere in between smash and trash.
That's rare. I've had it happen where I'll show up and they'll go, I told you 15-year. I was like, I apologize, I don't remember that conversation.
Yeah.
But you've also signed every document probably 10 times each with a 30-year.
Oh, you're talking about trying to change them at the table?
At the table.
Oh, that's trash.
At the
I was being kind of, that's trash, David. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's when you say, let me teach you about amortization and this handy calculator where you can accomplish the exact same thing.
Yeah. We try that. Well, we can, but it's probably going to delay closing for a day or two because
right.
I am glad that we're not in such a market where, there was a time where any change was a full day or two change because I would get so mad. I'd be like, wait, why can't the underwriters just look at it and change it real quick? And they're like, well, because the underwriters got 47 other loans that they're trying to clear for closings tomorrow. And now they're going to bump yours back up.
Right. And then it's got to go back over to the closer to redo all of everything. Then it's got to come to us. Think about that in the days when there was not electronic delivery of documents.
Oh, yeah.
When I first started, we ran couriers all over Metro Atlanta to get the package.
We did too. Yeah. That's right. We used to drive them.
Yeah.
Like as a loan officer, I'd be like, can it close? I can't. We hadn't sent the package. I was like, give it to me. I'll drive to Marietta. I'll drive to, I think I drove to South Carolina one time with a package. It was that important. So
desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yes. All right. This one's famous. And I'm a loan officer for 28 years and I still don't understand. We are clear to close. But hey, I need these couple of documents. Can you bring these to closing? Can you sign that? We're clear to close, but I need you to sign these things and bring that thing to closing.
So that phrase reminds me of the movie The Princess Bride. And the famous line from The Princess Bride was there was a character named Vicini. And Vicini, someone would say something and Vicini would utter, inconceivable. And then there was another character, Inigo Montoya. And Inigo Montoya's response to the Cini's inconceivable was, you keep using that word, and I do not think it means what you think it means. So clear to close, when a buyer hears that, when some agents hear that, they think they are heading to the closing table right now. It's all ready.
I don't blame them. They should. Clear to close to me says
It
that.
sounds like
But
it, doesn't it?
It is not always that.
That's not what it means.
I think maybe what it would mean to me, though, is that file does not have to go back to the underwriter. If I give you a clear to close, that means it's done, other than you must bring the termite letter to closing, or sometimes it's the most recent pay stub. But we don't have to take anything back to the underwriter for review.
Right.
If it's clear to close, it is, everything's been approved. These are the two things. As long as you bring that to closing, we're fine. So
it's at closing conditions as opposed to underwriting conditions that need to be reviewed by that underwriter again.
Yeah. Now, we said lawyers get paid by the minute. That was the longest smash of trash ever. Did you not even get it? I'm going to just blend it.